right. Good evening, Board President Bowen, members of the board, and our community. I'm excited to share my June report this evening. I have a lot to share, but I am going to move through it very efficiently. All right, first up, we're excited to talk about years of service. Each month, we like to take the time to recognize NOLA PS employees who are committed to our district's vision and work hard to help our schools and students succeed year in and year out. Please direct your attention to the screens to see this month's years of service. Congratulations to Stephen Washington for 5 years of service, currently the Chief Engineer and Operations Department under the Property Management Division, and William Verrett for 5 years of service, currently a building engineer, also in the Operations Department under Property Management. Thank you both for your continued excellence. Next, I would like to report out on our Policy HH event. On Monday, I was honored to moderate our Youth Voices for Change, a symposium for safer futures panel at the New Orleans Career Center, where our courageous students took center stage to discuss the pressing issues of community violence, interpersonal violence, and self-inflicted violence. Their honesty and wisdom left a lasting impact on all who attended, reminding us that our young people are not just our future, but our present partners in creating safer, stronger schools and community. As I listened to our students share their experiences, I was struck by their clarity in identifying what they need. Trusted adults who listen without judgment, more after-school programs to foster positive outlets, and education on healthy relationships to empower them to navigate challenges. Their call for enhanced counseling, peer support, and creative spaces like art and gardening resonated deeply, offering a roadmap for meaningful change. This event, brought to life by Dr. Jordan and her team, our dedicated school support and improvement team, alongside partners like Center for Restorative Culture, the New Orleans Career Center, exemplified our commitment to Policy HH, which ensures safe, supportive environments. I am grateful to every educator, counselor, and community member who showed up as lifeguards for our youth, as Dr. Shannon Perry, our Executive Director of Student Support, so eloquently put it. Let's carry forward the momentum from this dialogue by amplifying student voices, strengthening partnerships, and investing in the resources our students deserve. Together, we can build a district where every child feels safe, valued, and heard. Now I'm going to walk us through our System-Wide Needs Program annual report. Each year, this is typically what the superintendent shares out on behalf of our school support and improvement team to talk about our outcomes for the year. I will note that as we put together the annual report for NOLA PS, this information will also be factored into the larger report for our district. So I want to share a few highlights, and we'll start with a video. Thank you. This video highlighted various activities related to System-Wide Needs Program for the 24-25 school year that are aligned to our current improvement plan objectives. The purpose of the program is to support initiatives that will result in district-wide improvements in areas that can be more efficiently and effectively addressed at the system level than at the school level, while recognizing the need for differentiated supports that address our unique charter system. This plan is for 3 years. It includes related performance objectives, information on the proposed levels of funding to be dedicated to one or more areas of focus, and is expected to impact at least 50% of Orleans Parish Public School students or 50% of Orleans Parish Public Schools over the course of the plan. Round 2 plan guides investments for July 2023 through June 2026 in the areas of talent and specialized program. The plan synthesizes opportunities to leverage resources that respond to ongoing system challenges while also addressing emerging needs across a diverse range of students and schools in our system. The plan identifies 2 key areas: talent pipeline and specialized programming. This presentation will report on the second year of system-wide needs programs, performance objectives, and expenditures in the Round 2 improvement plan. These are our expenditures in fiscal year 2025, and one thing we've been doing over the past couple of months is making sure that we're reporting out on the system-wide needs program each month at a very detailed level of where the funds are going. The invoices will be processed through June 30th. We anticipate an end-of-year balance of $10.9 million after all 4-year 25 expenses have been paid. So key highlights include 12 programs funded, 6 performance objectives fully met in year 2, 60 schools impacted, which is a total of 90%, and $4.6 million invested in supports, services for students and educators in school year 25 as of May 28, 2025. In Round 2, Year 1, Fall Year 24, 65%, Fiscal Year 24, 65% of schools, 44, were impacted by System-Wide Needs Program funding. In Round 2, Fiscal Year 25, 90% of schools, for a total of 60, were impacted by the System-Wide Needs Program funding. The program as a whole has experienced remarkable growth. We can attribute this to having an office in place to oversee engagement and implementation. We attribute this also to increased transparency in reporting, increased engagement through in-person meetings, electronic communication, and consistent collaboration with various stakeholders. Our System-Wide Needs Program has responded to the emerging needs of students in our schools. We saw this with the introduction of SPED therapeutic programming grants for students impacted by the CFR closure. Again, with the introduction of pre-educator pathway program grants for high schools impacted by the loss of federal grant funding through SEED. System-wide needs program funds have also been considered to support schools facing financial challenges as part of 2 separate district funding plans, even though we didn't actually choose options that would require the use of those funds. Next, these are highlights from our talent pipeline focus. We had 3 teacher recruitment vendors this year. The new teacher project, TNTP, Teach NOLA. 56 teachers were placed in 27 schools. Teach for America, TFA, 22 teachers were placed in 12 schools. Xavier University, 11 teachers were placed in 7 schools. We focus heavily on Grow Your Own programs this year to build an interest in both entering the field of teaching and advancing within the field of teaching. This includes praxis exam support being provided by Engage to Learn. 28 teachers from 14 schools have been paired with coaches to receive targeted support in their respective exam areas. Educator advancement is an opportunity for currently employed staff to advance in the field with pathways for paraprofessionals to teacher, associate degree to bachelor's, and master's degree in alternative certification. Bloom Board is currently working with school leaders to recruit candidates. We also had Locker Room to Classroom, which is another program in a partnership with Engage to Learn. This program will provide coaching and alternative certification support for college athletes interested in pursuing a career in teaching. We had Grow Your Own Pre-Educator Pathway with 158 students from 9 high schools who have been participating in the Grow Your Own program, which is aligned to the Louisiana Pre-Educator Pathway and allows students an opportunity to complete education courses and earn industry-based certifications and engage in clinic experiences through partnerships with feeder schools to teach classes, serve as tutors, and engage with students in need of additional support. Lastly, we are working with Chief of Mines to complete a talent study that will help inform our efforts to employ more effective strategies around innovative talent development as we strive for operational excellence with recruiting, training, and retaining high-quality teachers. These are highlights from our specialized program focus. We work with 3 vendors as part of the English Learner Specialized Program pilot. This includes TNOLA, providing training and support in the area of language access. We had 16 schools receive support in 16 different languages with over 700 calls and appointments, on demand and scheduled, in more than 350,000 words translated. Our Voice Nuestra Voz provides training and support in areas of family engagement. We had 7 schools receive support in delivering their family engagement sessions. A total of 12 family engagement sessions were offered. And lastly, the New Orleans Multicultural Institute of Counseling provided support in the area of mental health, serving 595 students from 10 schools with 595 students from 10 schools were assessed, and 185 students received services either individually or in small groups. The Inspire NOLA launched an English Learner Middle School Newcomer Program. This year, the program expanded from 2 to 4 schools within their network. They are working to expand the program to include students from other schools across the city. We recently awarded grants for English Learner Newcomer Programmer expansion for high school students. 2 have been selected. The Bridge is our restorative practices program for middle school students. 47 students from 20 schools were enrolled at the Bridge. We've also partnered with the New Orleans Career Center to expand access to career and technical education. 487 students from 21 high schools were trained in 5 program areas. Students earn over 300 industry-based credentials and more than 1,000 work-based learning experiences. And last for this area is special education therapeutic programming grants that were awarded to 3 networks to support 10 students from 7 different schools. Grants were awarded on a per-student basis for students impacted by the closure of the Center for Resilience. Just a few engagement highlights for the year. We've had ongoing stakeholder engagement with our CMO leaders. We've also solicited feedback from school leaders, worked with the Greater New Orleans Collaborative of Charter Schools, and we've also partnered with local and national partners to impact student, staff, and community. The success of this plan's implementation is contingent upon ongoing conversations and feedback. So we've asked, as we have different stakeholders in participating in program, to make sure they give us our feedback on how we're doing. So the existence of this dedicated office to focus on this work have provided a lot of insight as well as oversight of the program to ensure it's operating effectively. So what you will see through the next couple of slides is the status of our programs by areas. So you will note from in this section, the talent pipeline based on the objective where we are in terms of status. On the next slide, you will see just from these two sections that 2 out of 5 objectives were met this year. So with the support of the Grow Your Own and Praxis exam work, we know that we are on track to achieve all of our goals in this area. Next. In this area, we've had 4 out of the 6 objectives met so far this year, and I've talked through those as I spoke about the bridge, our partnership with the New Orleans Career Center, and the work that we're doing with English language learners. Thanks. So when we talk about modifications to the plan, we have 2 modification recommendations to a performance objective and are seeking board approval. The current language says to increase access for high school students to career and technical education, training courses, learning experiences that culminate in industry-based credentials. What we want to do differently in this space is to increase access for high school students to career and technical education training courses, learning experiences that culminate in industry-based credentials, and work-based learning opportunities, including internships, cooperative education, and/or apprenticeships. And this is due to our changes in the accountability system, and so we want to make sure that what we do in this area is able to support our new accountability standards and provide more access to more students. The next item is the current language says that we would increase access to launch scaling of services for students with autism. We are proposing to change the language to reflect an increase in access to launch and scaling of services for students with autism and or special education program to meet the emerging needs of students with disabilities. So this expands supports beyond students with autism to be inclusive for all students with disabilities. And with that, I'll take any questions that you may have. Oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. That's all for that section of my updates. I'm bringing it home now. All right, this section of my updates are about school sightings and transition. So I just have a couple of notes to share regarding, if you go back one, to share regarding the Alfred Lawless High School campus where MLK High School resides. We've had a number of discussions over the past couple of months with KIPP New Orleans about Frederick Douglass High School relocating to the Lawless campus. However, at this time, I'm recommending that Douglass remain in its current location for another year. We have a number of operational needs and facility needs for that campus that our team will work on over the next 6 to 8 months to get the campus up to par. Also, it will allow KIPP to further assess their programmatic needs and their ability to fit in the Lawless facility, inclusive of all their academic programming, and that is a challenge at this time. We look forward to continuing the conversations with not just with KIPP, but other potential opportunities for that campus. In the meanwhile, we will continue to do the work that is much needed in the facility, internally and externally in terms of the athletic fields as well. The other siting update concerns the A.D. Crossman building. As discussed during Tuesday's Committee of the Whole meeting, Community Academies is consolidating its program for the 25-26 school year to relocate into the Nelson. Esperanza Elementary, which is housed at the Crossman's campus, will relocate to the Nelson and Dunbar facilities where our current programs are for Kano. The merger of Esperanza and Foundation Prep will house elementary students at both facilities for the middle and elementary levels. This is really important, and I know I said this last week, but we really do want to thank our school leader, Mary Ellis King, for her leadership in making this decision and taking care of all of the business of these decisions up front. We know that it is the best thing for our students, and we thank you for your collaboration and your partnership in this work along the way, and we are prepared to support what needs to be done, but we are excited that our students get to have greater opportunities in these new sites where we are expanding our dual language program. So thank you as well to you and your board for making the decision to expand the program, and I know we're excited about those opportunities for our students. One more. All right, graduation season continues. I don't know about you, but I have had a blast this graduation season celebrating all of our students and their accomplishments, and it's been a joy to attend these events and speak at these events and to have our board present. It's just been a really great show of love and support for our students, and we appreciate all the great work that our school leaders and our teachers and everybody is doing to ensure our students cross the finish line. And huge shout out to our comms team that captures all the moments and posts all of the pictures and do all the videos, as well as all of the other comms teams serving in our schools that capture the moments of our students. We are so very proud and continue to celebrate as we have 2 more graduations tomorrow and 3 on Saturday. And then we will be able to say we are done sending our babies off to embark on the rest of their journey. So kudos to all for everything that you do for our students. And again, we wish them all a safe, joyful, and rejuvenating summer. Here's to new beginnings and continued success for our students. Let's give all of our graduates a round of applause. And my last and final update, I am so excited to announce that I have selected a new deputy superintendent on behalf of NOLA PS and the warm welcome of our Orleans Parish School Board. I proudly welcome the one and only Dr. Jawan Brown Alexander as deputy superintendent of NOLA Public Schools. Outstanding. We cannot wait. I needed her to start like yesterday, but she's going to let me take vacation, and she will officially begin on June 23rd. But I do want to highlight, because she is an impressive leader and her background is remarkable, and I just want to share a little bit about who Dr. Jawan Brown Alexander is. She is a native New Orleanian, brings more than 30 years of education, management, and leadership experience to her new role. Utilizing her experience as an educator, executive, community advocate, nonprofit leader, and advisor, Jawan's mission has been to cultivate leadership in the city of New Orleans as communities continue to grow, while forming major local, national, and global partnerships. Jawan's experience as an educational leader have included working in and supporting K-12 and higher ed leaders, and also serving as an instructor, school leader, leadership coach, district administrator, State Department of Louisiana official, and consultant. As a community advisor, Jawan has worked with governmental agency, advocacy groups, and nonprofit organizations to help better understand how to collaborate and incorporate strategic initiatives that engage and equip our communities while providing access to those who are underrepresented. Dr. Alexander's community contributions have been featured in City Business, and Jawan has been honored to receive the Young Leadership Council's Role Model Award. Dr. Alexander has also been a featured guest on small business and educationally related podcasts and radio broadcasts, and she has released articles that have been featured in local and national publications. Dr. Alexander is a proud graduate of Southern University, where she earned a bachelor's in English education, Xavier University, where she received her master's and doctoral degree in educational leadership. Juwan is a member of the Louisiana Superintendent's Academy, has studied at the Harvard Institute, and recently completed the Goldman Sachs Program for Business Leaders and Professionals. Let's give Dr. Brown Alexander another round of applause. And so while this is not her official, start date, we are excited to have her here along with Dr. Ronika Briscoe, who are going to do the next presentation you are going to see. They have spent the past year working with our team, a whole year, meeting every week for a whole year with us to produce a more than 100-page report on the work that we do at NOLA PS, helping to inform how we think about our organizational structure and how we move going forward. And so I'm excited to invite them both to the podium to do a report out on this work a year in the making. But before we do that, I'm going to close out my remarks and pass it back to Board President Boatwin for any further comments.
Thank you, Dr. Fulmore. We'll have board questions on Dr. Fulmore's report. We'll start with Mr. Zerfgon.
First of all, I think one thing got left off the resume. Not only are you a native New Orleanian, you're a graduate of the New Orleans Public Schools. And where did you go to school? Went to Eleanor McMain. That's right. We're everywhere. That's right. No, it's good. So it's good to have graduates of the public schools serving in positions of leadership, especially at this level. So super proud to have you on board and joining us in this work and joining me here. We've done a lot of work together in McMain Alumni Association and all that. So great choice. So glad to have you here. It's exciting. Now also, I wanted to ask about the Lawless building. We were hoping to have a school in there sooner rather than later. And, the community, wherever I go, has been extremely passionate about the need to have a high school in the neighborhood. And we understand that is absolutely true geographically. It must be there, that the building is a new building, essentially. Of course, they fall apart quickly, as we know. So as far as the commitment that we will get a high school back in there, perhaps in 26, 27 then? What's the feeling of your team at this point?
Yes, we would be revisiting that for the 26-27 school year. It's just some things that we need to get done in the facility that we agreed that we need to prioritize that and not look at any potential mid-year movements. We need to continue to engage with the initial interested party, which was KIP, to make sure that that will work for their academic and programmatic needs. And so that's what we would engage in during this year. But it's possible that other considerations may happen as well. But we're taking this time to do that work so we can have that solidified for the spring siting announcements that typically happen at the top of the year, like in that February, March time when we're announcing sightings.
Because I do recall there was an assessment of a significant amount of need for the facility in terms of making sure when the students get in there, they're going to be coming into a clean, bright facility with no issues, that would just take care of them now. I remember y'all talking about considerations of orderly transfer, of things not being chaotic or people not being ready for the well-being of the students and the programs that they'll attend. So but I guess we can say to the community loud and clear, we do have a commitment that the Lawless building will be a high school. There will be a high school in that neighborhood, right? We can make that commitment.
That's what we're working on to ensure that we can move forward with a option and an answer for that for the 26-27 school year.
Just front loading it because they'll be asking us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They'll be asking us. All right, thank you.
Any other? Mr. Parker?
Also, like my colleagues, very thrilled that Dr. Brown Alexander will be joining us in the building. It's been too long since we've had a member of the Brown family in the building. So glad that we can continue that tradition. You come from a very wonderful family of educators, and you certainly carry on that legacy, and we're very glad to have you here. Dr. Fulmore, A question about the system-wide needs program, the language changes. I had written down in my notes something about aligning the surplus that we have in system-wide needs to our accountability, and then you immediately started talking about how you were already doing that. Can you talk about how the language changes that were highlighted on the slides will sort of, like, what will that look like in practice? What are potential new programs that we could bring on board or that we're considering should those language changes pass?
I'm going to have Dr. Robinson come to the podium to talk a little bit about that. But I know the biggest thing for us as we think about partnerships for apprenticeships so that students may be able to have like paid opportunities and establishing, new support structures for work-based learning where they can have on-the-job training experiences, real-world experiences. But I'll let Dr. Robinson talk a little bit more about that.
Good evening. Echoing what Dr. Fulmore has just shared, that is our plan. We don't have anything written in stone yet, but the idea is that we get ahead of these changes. So we know that accountability is going to have some touch points that are related to internships, apprenticeships, all of those things. And so we want to be in a position where if there is a need, we can support that need. We know that the state has some funding to cover the cost of student apprenticeships, but that may not be enough. We know that there are some specific trainings for high school teachers who have to lead those work-based experiences. It's possible that schools may not have adequate funding to fund those. So we just want to make sure that we're in a position to where if there is a need, we can help to address that need.
Got it, thank you. And what about the proposed language changes for special education? Is there we talked about broadening it out from just serving students with autism. Is there another student population that we're considering targeting, or are there additional services that we're considering for that?
So this is just another proactive measure that we felt like was necessary. So considering the work that was done with the special education therapeutic programming grants, because there were performance objectives that addressed mental and behavioral health, we were able to provide support in that area. In the absence of that, our hands would have been locked because that decision was made, I want to say maybe a month or so after we had presented the annual report, which policy at that time said any modifications had to happen at the time of the annual report. So had we not had something already in place, we would have been locked out until right now to be able to make that call. And then, of course, that would have been months too late. So we just want to make sure that we have enough flexibility in place so that if a need arises, we can address that need. If there's a need that Dr. Guidry and her team has that we may need to aid in, and it doesn't impact students with autism, and it's not about mental or behavioral health or professional development, we don't have a space to even engage in those conversations.
Got it. That's very helpful. Thank you. I also, Dr. Fulmore, want to thank you for highlighting all of the Grow Your Own work that is happening. That is really inspiring stuff to see. I remember being at a field day at Morris Jeff, and students from Warren Easton who were part of the Grow Your Own program, even though they didn't have school that day, came to Morris Jeff to celebrate with the students that they were working with. And and I know some other schools in my district have had so many students graduate with the teacher prep stole. And so it's really inspiring, and I'm glad that we're highlighting that. I think, and I would love to continue to learn more about the high school newcomer support that we're going to offer. I'm very excited about that. Obviously, La Sierra does really great work with their students, but I think there is, we can serve more students, and I'm excited to use these funds to do exactly that.
Thank you.
Colleagues, okay, I have a few questions about the system-wide needs program as well, but I think for Dr. Fulmore. I don't know, actually, stick around just in case. So the system-wide needs program really is also a support for schools, right? So this is targeted at our schools. Do we do a survey or a satisfaction survey of schools if we're meeting their needs, if they're if they feel like this is? I know that they contribute to the planning of the priorities and how we work this program, but what kind of feedback do we get from schools around the services?
So we've been in communication with school leaders via like our established meetings, school leader meetings. We've had touch points for different things. But the goal for us now is between now and the end of the summer to reach out to all of the schools who have had some touch point with system-wide needs to share a satisfaction survey. So if it's about the talent pipeline work, how do you feel about the services? Were the vendors responsive? Like, did this work for you? Were the people who placed in your schools a good fit? Even with the specialized programming, just knowing like, how did this work for you? Was it adequate funding? If we could do it all over again, what could we do differently? So we are working on that because we want to make sure that not only are, schools having touch points and we're spreading the funds around, that it's actually making a difference to the boots on the ground people.
And if I would add to that, we've learned through this process, the financial process, a lot of the concerns that the schools have had about the management of the system-wide need program, the bottlenecking and the time that it takes to actually move the funds to schools. And so we've gotten a lot of feedback, but we do want to have a standardized process to gather that so we can make comparison and really look at return on investment for all the dollars that we're using in the program. So that's how we'll do that work moving forward.
Okay, that's great because, sometimes no news is good news, and I haven't heard sort of positive or negative from schools in my district around the system-wide needs program recently, but that's not always the case. So, okay, usually they do. So that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Will that outreach focus on the sort of 10% remaining schools that don't have a touch point? And what are there various reasons why those schools may not be, either participating or part of it, or sort of, how do we get to 100%? And I assume that's the goal.
So the reasons why schools don't participate is mixed. It could be a number of different things, like maybe you're a high school and the programming that's available doesn't necessarily fit you, or vice versa. But we have a laser-like focus on, I want to say it's maybe 5 schools right now that have not been impacted at all in this round. So we have been, reaching out and having different touch points to see like, well, okay, these are all of the things we can do. Like, what are your needs? Because maybe it's programming. Maybe the programming that we're pushing out is just not something that is what you need right now. So we are working on that.
Okay, great. That's great to hear. And then my final question, is the Leah Chase School included in the system-wide needs, or could it be? Is programming also available to the Leah Chase School?
So the Leah Chase School is a part of our programming. Right now, they are receiving supports through the English Learner Specialized Programming Pilot. So they have support from TNOLA, from Our Voice, from NOMIC. They have access to all of those things.
Wonderful. Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you so much. Colleagues? Okay, thank you, Dr. Fulmore. I'll let you move on to your next agenda item.
All right, now we will have Dr. Briscoe and Dr. Brown Alexander to come to the podium to present high-level overview of our strategic planning project that they worked on. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Brown Alexander.
Good evening to the board. Dr. Fulmore, thank you for that amazing welcome. I am definitely excited about joining the team. Can't wait till we roll our sleeves up, start connecting and collaborating with our colleagues in the field. Exciting work, exciting days ahead. I want to hand over this particular presentation to Dr. Briscoe today. She'll be leading our presentation around the strategic planning project. But I just want to begin by saying we spent 1 year working alongside NOLA PS, their team, specifically Ms. Dukes and Ashley, meeting with us once a week for an entire year, making certain that we had every single thing that we needed for this project to be successful. As Dr. Fulmore alluded to a moment ago, what we ended up producing was over 100 pages in terms of a comprehensive report around the strategic planning project specifically. And Dr. Briscoe is going to go into detail as it relates to our methodology, the tools that we used, the amazing feedback that we received from the NOLA PS district level team. We had a focus group in this very room. I think it was 2 or 3 days where we really unpacked the complexities of job assignments, protocols, and the like. And so you'll hear from Dr. Briscoe. I'll turn it over to her so that she can go into our report deck.
All right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, board members, Dr. Fulmore. I won't repeat everything that's been stated before, but we are excited to turn over this report to Dr. Fulmore and close out this project here with you all. I am Renika Briscoe. I'm a partner at TNTP. I am so happy that some of our work has already been highlighted in the presentation today. You all may have heard of Teach NOLA. We also do work across the state and across 48 other states in the country. We've been in New Orleans and in Louisiana for over 20 years. So we are really excited to lead this project alongside Maroon, led by Dr. Alexander. So we're gonna jump right in. And as stated before, this is the Cliff Notes version. So I'm going to run through some things, and at the end of the presentation, we'll definitely take questions. So on the screen right now is an outline of the reports, all the components of the report. That includes everything from the executive summary to stakeholder and board engagement. In the core part of our work, figuring out the core functions of this very unique district. We pulled out a quote from the presentation, from the actual written report that we feel is reflective of your work as an organization. And it reads, "We recognize that NOLA PS operates within a unique system that necessitates the development of a new vision for how a decentralized district can explore various structures." So again, leaning into the fact that there are not true comparisons for this district, but we can use the data and information of similarly situated organizations and districts. In order to make sure that this project was a huge success, we approached this very methodically. So as was mentioned before, we had a project plan in which we worked that plan every single week, following up with Ms. Dukes and Ms. Jones as we developed our goals, our data collection plan, our engagement plan, as we went through the research process, and as we zoomed in on Evolve, which is, you all know, your strategic plan and framework for the organization. Our keys to collaboration was definitely that engagement piece, stakeholder interviews, our organizational frameworks, and then we're also providing recommendations. At the end of the day, Dr. Fulmore is in charge, and she gets to determine which recommendations she's like to move forward with. So we don't make decisions, we only make recommendations. So when we think about the initial steps to this entire process, this year-long process, it started with making sure that we had a feasible plan that not only engaged the central office, but it also engaged the board. And we also looked back at data that was available from other consultants who did work in the district before us, other data on staff engagement that Ms. Dukes also had available. So we were able to leverage many of the pieces of work that was done prior to us taking the next steps to produce this report. We did something very unique and different than most projects. We did interactive focus groups. We spent 3 days with the central office staff here at NOLA PS, bringing them in by departments, really mapping out and really trying to understand what's their roles, what's their responsibilities, not only of their department and division, but to a person. That information was imperative as we looked at what are truly NOLA PS's core functions. We know that it's always pared down to being an authorizer, but is that in fact the truth, the clear picture of what the district does? And we found out there's more to it than just that. We also leveraged research, data, and reporting. We looked at 22 comparable school districts across the state of Louisiana and in other districts across the country. We looked at districts who had similar demographics of students, districts who had large numbers of students who attend charter schools, as well as large number of charter school systems in their districts. So we utilized all these things to help us really formulate our questions, themes, and findings. So we had 3 buckets of questions that we explored throughout this project. Number 1 was the main question: what is the role of the district? So we looked at number 1, why is the role of the district, particularly central office, unclear to stakeholders? Number 2, is the current central office structure meeting the needs of the community of charter schools in the district-run school? Are there operational redundancies across departments? And if so, how can they be avoided? Number 2, we looked at comparable districts. How are other districts across the country structured, similar size as well as focus? How are charter schools managed? And what does oversight look like? And what can we learn from other school districts? And what's unique about those comparative districts? Last but certainly not least, the next steps and actions. What are our key findings and next steps for the district? So we're not going to keep you waiting. We're going to give you our findings and themes right now. So number 1, we looked at NOLA PS's district level responsibilities. At the end of the day, while charter management organizations oversee the majority of public schools in New Orleans, NOLA PS should establish an infrastructure comparable to directly serving schools when needed, all while upholding fiscal responsibilities and compliance obligations. So let me restate that very clearly. There aren't any departments or divisions at NOLA PS that we can do without. It still has to function in a similar way to a traditional school district. And we also have to continue to provide the fiscal responsibility and compliance pieces of a traditional school district. Number 2, the responsibility of the district is to provide the framework for accountability, renewal decisions, and funding. And we'll dig deeper into that in the next two or three slides. The second thing, we found that there were no major redundancies across departments and divisions. Where we found that there were some work that was parceled out among different departments. So this department does part A of something, and then another department does part B, and then together it makes C. We didn't see where there were multiple role redundancies or multiple departmental redundancies. Number 3, they're undefined roles. So in our system of schools, the role of athletics, after-school programs, career and technical education, elementary and secondary education, core subject areas, school leadership are not clearly defined within the district's scope. Last, providing clarity around the core functions. The district has the opportunity to enhance its communication of the core functions to all stakeholder groups. And so when we get to the slide where we really break down those core functions, it's important for us to choose our language carefully when we talk about the district and what it does, because simplifying it to just providing, just being an authorizer has really hurt the district in the public's perception of the district. So when we look at stakeholder perspectives, we start with our board members, and some of you are thinking, you all didn't reach out to us. Well, we conducted these board member interviews prior to the holidays before some of you took your seats. But what we found through interviewing the board members, that there are themes among how the board sees their work and how they have prioritized their work. So number one, they really are keen in on governance and strategic planning, transparency and community engagement, improving community engagement, equity and inclusion, school quality and autonomy, innovation and program variety, challenges in education policy, as well as mental health and student well-being. So those were the themes from the board member interviews that were captured. So the fun part, what are, in fact, the core functions of the school district? We simplified them to 6 core functions. Number 1, first and foremost, revenue distribution, fiscal management and oversight. Number 2 is being that authorizer and providing charter regulatory oversight and renewal decisions. Number 3, direct services. So that's teacher and admin development, crisis management, behavioral support, school support, enrollment services, and verification. Number 4 is support services, which is a huge bucket. So that's the collaboration piece, the partnership management, stakeholder engagement, family and community support, communication and outreach, project and strategic management, facilities, operations, recruiting, onboarding, human resource development, and so on and so forth. A lot of what was lifted up in Dr. Fulmore's report. Number 5, accountability, data collection, management, and reporting. And number 6, of course, compliance, that regulatory piece, policy oversight, legal, and legal affairs. So the district is way more than an authorizer. It provides all of this support to the schools as well as the community. So when we look at the research and case studies, NOLA PS is pretty on par with similar situated districts. So most districts across the country that we looked at, the 22 different districts, average about 6.5 chiefs in divisions. NOLA PS is right there at that average. Also, the vast majority of them have elected boards, just like you all. There's an average of 2.2 deputy/assistant superintendents. NOLA PS only has 1. So when we look at our comparable districts to New Orleans, Los Angeles had the most charter schools at 270. The smallest number of charters that we looked at was Detroit with 7. The median number of charter schools in the district was 67. And the average enrollment of these charter schools were about 35,000. So again, very similar to where we are. When we look at our next steps and recommendations for next steps, there are 3. Number 1, start where we kind of left off and look at this role clarity piece. So we want to make sure that the team works to articulate the overall district. So those core functions, clarity around that, clarity around each division and each department, and then making sure that we understand the roles and responsibility of all of the people who are on the team. Number 2, systems and structures. The central office team will work closely with the leadership team to enhance coordination regarding systems, policy updates, and strategic objectives. The superintendent and executive team will make any final decisions around those organizational structures, even though we made recommendations. External stakeholder role clarity. So the district can improve its communication regarding core functions and clearly outline responsibilities for all stakeholder groups. And we know because we are a decentralized system, we have a lot of stakeholders who are a part of the district. So we just want to make sure, the last point is that we leverage board communication, school level meetings, board meetings, symposiums, informational sessions, and so on and so forth to really articulate the core functions of the district and the work that the NOLA PS does every day. And so that concludes the presentation. Any questions? Yes.
Ms. Griffin?
Thank you so much for this report. I really appreciate it. I just have two.
Yes, ma'am.
Will we receive the full report? And then the other question I have is, can I see all the districts that you used?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Fulmore, do you want to speak to the full report?
Yes, we shared the embargoed one, but I'll send out the final version of it that she's presenting from tonight. Yep.
Mr. Zervigon?
I want to answer her question about the districts that we looked at. So we looked at Los Angeles, New York City, Dade County, Chicago, Clark County, Broward County, Oklahoma City, Houston ISD, San Antonio, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Detroit, I think I mentioned Dade County, Chicago, Clark County, Broward County, Oklahoma City, Houston, San Antonio Independent School District, Indianapolis, Kansas City Public Schools, District of Columbia, DC, Detroit Public Schools, Porterville United School District, the Highly Unified School District, the School District of Philadelphia, were all of the school districts that we looked at, plus East Baton Rouge, Jefferson Parish, were the local comparative districts. And those are outlined all in the report. We also chose the school districts that had the largest number of charter schools, so quantity-wise, and then the largest number of students being served in charter schools. No problem.
Mr. Zervigon?
Yeah, really more of a comment than questions, but thank you for the report. I look forward to going deeper into the whole thing, and it's extremely timely. Thank you all for producing it, and Dr. Fulmore, this is very, very important work.
Yeah.
And you consider, we were two systems, then we merged. Gosh, it's become a little while ago, right? And so under Dr. Henderson Lewis, that had to be invented, and it was not obvious. There was a lot of difficult work trying to meld both the RSD central office and our central office, which were doing similar things, but not exactly in the same way. Now we've gotten to test drive it for some time. We've been through a number of iterations and seen a number of challenges. So I think that being able to define it, being able to communicate it to the community also is extremely important. People always get very confused about what central offices do, period.
Yes.
You know, and I always remind them, we don't run schools, but think about everything that a central office does when you're not running a school. And people say, well, what is that? They don't know in any district. So, and as far as then where we go from here as we continue to address challenges and get better and always look for what would be more perfect, this is extremely important work, and it looks like very high quality. I can't wait to look more into it. Thank you.
It was a labor of love.
I can tell. It's very, very, very interesting work.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Ms. Bureau?
This is kind of a question for Dr. Fulmore, but I was curious, did you use this report to inform your org chart?
Yes, we did. And let me tell you, we had some knockout dragouts about the org.
Are you going to tell on yourself?
No, I'm not going to tell on myself. But we spent a lot of time going back. But I did adopt some of the recommendations that they had in the org chart. It's still debatable. We're evolving.
Yeah.
Thank you for that answer.
She's heard me talk about the knockout dragout.
Yes. I think the board should hold Dr. Fulmore accountable for taking vacations, working within reasonable hours, not burning out, So that's what a lot of the conversation was about, is like when you structure and you're looking to structure your district, that you're able to really have a team in which those things are possible, because we see her wealth of knowledge, what she brings to the table, but we want to make sure it's sustainable long term.
Mr. Parker?
I just want to echo my colleagues' comments about how grateful we are that this work has been done and this report has been created. I think, Dr. Fulmore, this sort of report really aligns well with your strengths as a systems thinker, and I'm really excited to see role clarity continue to develop, and the people in this building continuing and expanding on their service to those who are educating our students every day. So,
And let me speak to central office staff. Like, they were game for whatever we needed them to do, from lengthy 1 hour long interviews to really digging into these focus groups. If you walked in, we had chart paper everywhere. And they were willing to stay longer. And, they ran into other groups because they were so into it. And I just can't speak to how invested and how involved they were throughout this process. Anything we asked for, anything we needed, they were Johnny on the spot. And poor Ms. Jones and Ms. Dukes, like, they had us every week and, were just great partners so that we could do a great, detailed job on this.
that is both great to hear and not surprising at all for anyone who is engaged with our central office staff. It's a really wonderful team. So, thank you.
A lot of what I was going to say has been said, but I will just say I had the opportunity to get a preview of this report a couple of months ago maybe, and I had a lot of questions, and it's clear that the two of you and your team and everyone here at Central Office thought about this from every angle, did a ton of research, not just in New Orleans, but everywhere. And I think it's really a great, I can't wait to read the full report. I will admit I haven't read the embargo copy, but I can't wait to read the full report. But I appreciate your time answering my numerous questions and walking through it. And I just really, I want to bring this back to, I was remiss in not welcoming Dr. Brown Alexander, but I think she knows I'm really excited to have her here. But I want to just highlight the fact that Dr. Fulmore has been doing at least two people's jobs for nearly a year now.
Madam President, please speak.
And that means putting out fires. That means opening a new school. That means thinking strategically, thinking long-term, handling a crisis, a financial crisis, all while keeping this district running, keeping her staff here and happy and committed, keeping the board informed. I'm so excited to have Dr. Brown Alexander here, but also I'm very excited for Dr. Fulmore because, as Dr. Parker mentioned, you are a systems level thinker, and that's what this district really needs. And that means that somebody else has got to be doing some of the other work as well. So I know that that the two of you will only multiply the work. You won't divide it, and that more and more will come from this district. Great things to come, I know. But I do hope that it means, Dr. Fulmore, that you can focus on the work of the superintendent, which is what we hired you to do, and also take some time to live your life and leave these walls. And so I'm very excited. And so I just want to thank the two of you and your team. Thank you to Ms. Dukes and Ms. Jones for all the work that they put in. I know that they spent a lot of time with y'all. Thanks to my colleagues that were interviewed and all of the stakeholders that spent time with y'all to really get here. What does the district do, and what are we supposed to do, and what is our role? I mean, it seems like you say that's the number one question. It's the question. It's the only question, right? Yeah. And I think we're getting there with this. And so just thank you all very much. Thank you, Dr. Fulmore. Welcome. And just really great things to come. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, great. I think that concludes Superintendent's agenda.